Hello, everyone. So today's lecture, we're going to talk a little bit about what culture is, what behavior is, and what health is. So on that note, let's jump right in. So what is culture? So culture is typically described as the totality of learned behaviors of a people that emerges from their interpersonal interactions. So culture includes the ideas, values, and assumptions about life that are widely shared and that guide specific behaviors. So culture is something that is very fluid, very dynamic. It's always changing. It's changing for you. It's changing for your community. It's changing for the state, for the world. So there's two things. There's objective culture, and objective culture are surface things, kind of things like artifacts, food, clothing. So the type of food you eat is cultural. There's American food, Mexican food. These are kind of cultural ways of eating. There's the food from the South and so forth. Maybe the type of music we listen to. There's American pop culture music, which is going to be very different than maybe music in Japan, for example. Kind of rituals that we do, festivals, kind of how we dress is definitely very cultural. How we dress in Idaho could be very different than how you would dress in Southern California. So the language, how you talk, Idaho, maybe we talk differently than we talk in Southern California or Florida. But then culture can change, as people move here, people move out, they bring with them their culture, right? Your culture is moves with you. But then when you get to your new location, your culture can change as well. You can start adopting that new culture. Then there's the subjective culture, which is kind of the deeper things, your beliefs, whether they're religious beliefs, for example, your values. Your values will vary from place to place, whether you believe sex before marriage, do you believe in uh, how you're treated for health and diseases. Some cultures believe that, for example, worms in your stomach are okay, and they maybe once they come out of your stomach, then there's something kind of wrong. There's different values in there. How you handle emotions is in their type of culture. In American culture, for example, men, you can't express sadness. You can't talk about your feelings. You got to be kind of hard and serious. So there's definitely different um, ways that cultures are expressed. So furthermore about culture, culture provides us with our identity, our beliefs, our values, and our behaviors. I think we can all see that in ourselves. It definitely doesn't have to necessarily be focused on religion. You can have your culture of whether it's country western, if you're an athlete, if you're a hunter, if you're an outdoorsman, those are all cultures. Those are kind of how you identify as yourself. And then you kind of have these certain values and beliefs around those. It's learned as part of a natural process of growing up in a family and community and from participating in societal institutions. Is the conscious and unconscious content that a group learns, shares, and transmits from generation to generation that organizes life and helps interpret existences. And these cultures change over time. I'm sure your parents or your grandparents have taught you kind of different cultural values, and a lot of those are probably not even a big part of our culture anymore. We're kind of losing those. We want to kind of hang on to our previous generations of culture. So, as I said, culture is not a static thing. It changes as people migrate, acquire new or additional education, experiences, and that are surrounding them, whether it's conflict, economic, political thing. So, it gives us context and meaning. It's a filter through which people process their experiences and events of their life. It influences people's values, their actions, and expectations of themselves, and it impacts people's perceptions and expectations of other people as well. So there's culture and cultural groups. So people will form a community and interact with each other. This can be around specific identities, geographies, beliefs, and daily practices. So kind of think about what cultural groups you are part of. So let's now turn our attention a little bit to what human behavior is. And human behavior refers to the full range of physical and emotional behaviors that humans engage in, such as biological, social, intellectual, and the influenced by culture, attitudes, emotions, values, ethics, authority, rapport, persuasion, coercion, and or genetics. So a lot goes into how we as humans behave. So what's health? So health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And that's a definition by the United Nations. And I like that definition because for so long, or a lot of us always thought about health from a physical standpoint. But now it's increasingly recognized and important that health goes much more than just physical, but it's mental and social. So in a person who experiences physical health, bodily functions are working at peak performance due not only to lack of disease, but also to regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and adequate rest. Many of you probably have heard about the stresses or the importance, I should say, of getting adequate sleep. We kind of have this stupid cultural idea of, we'll rest when I'm dead, I don't need sleep, I can work on 4 hours of sleep a night. Uh, that's a cultural thing, and that cultural thing also varies greatly from place to place. Go to Silicon Valley, and they're all taking drugs so they can stay up and work more and more. Doesn't sound fun to me. Physical well-being involves pursuing a healthy lifestyle to decrease the risk of disease. Mental health refers to a person's emotional, social, and psychological well-being. Mental health is as important as physical health to a full active lifestyle. It is harder to define mental health than physical health because in many cases, diagnosis depends on the individual's perception of their experiences. Social well-being refers to the relationships we have and how we interact with others. You might have heard in the news and elsewhere how our interactions with people are especially is so limited these days, and if we do interact with people, it's through some kind of phone or computer. We don't have really face-to-face conversations with people. We don't sit there and talk about the day and so forth. And that's kind of having negative health consequences. So our relationships can often offer support during difficult times. Social wellness involves building healthy, nurturing, and supportive relationships, as well as fostering a genuine connection with those around you. So think about social well-being in your daily life. How are you doing there? This means that health is a resource to support an individual's function kind of in a wider society. A healthy lifestyle provides the means to lead a full life. So I think all three of these components are very important. They're equally important, and sometimes we focus more on one than the other. I definitely focus more on the physical health, working on the other ones because they are important. So what is health behavior? So there are many questions about health-related behavior or health behavior. So health behavior encompasses a large field of study that cuts across various fields, including sociology, education, psychology, public health, epidemiology, and anthropology. And so Gotchman defines health behavior as those personal attributes such as beliefs, expectations, motives, values, and perceptions, and other cognitive elements, such as personality characteristics, including affective and emotional states and traits, and overt behavior patterns, actions, and habits that relate to health maintenance, to health restoration, and to health improvements. So interestingly, this definition emphasizes the actions and the health of individuals. So a public health perspective, in contrast, is concerned with individuals as part of a larger community. And these perspectives are kind of interrelated, as the behavior of individuals determines many of the social conditions that affect all people's health. So health behavior, sometimes called health-related behavior, are actions taken by individuals that affect health or mortality. And so these actions may be intentional or unintentional. and can promote or detract from the health of the actor or others. Actions that can be classified as health behaviors are many. Examples include smoking, substance use, diet, physical activity, sleep, risky sexual activity, healthcare seeking behaviors, and adherence to prescribed medical treatment. So health behaviors are frequently discussed as individual level behaviors, but they can be measured and summarized for individuals, groups, or populations. So health behaviors are dynamic. They're varying over a lifespan, across cohorts, across settings, and over time. So what is the health behavior versus a lifestyle? So let's look at that. So health behaviors can be something that is done once or something that is done periodically, like getting immunization or a flu shot. It can also be something that is one does only to oneself, such as putting on sunscreen, or a behavior that affects others, like putting up a shade cover so that children at a playground are protected from the sun. So other health behaviors are actions that are performed over a long period of time, such as eating a healthy diet, getting regular physical activity, and avoiding tobacco use. It is these later types of behaviors which are sustained patterns of complex behaviors that are called lifestyle behaviors. So a composite of various health behaviors are often referred to as a healthy lifestyle. So while this is not an assignment to turn in, nothing to be graded, I would like you to take a few minutes to write down your thoughts to this question. So how does culture influence health beliefs, behaviors, and access to health care? So our first reaction might be this kind of ethnocentric one where you're going to think about just your life and how it applies to you or maybe your family, and that's perfectly fine. But also try to think about it from a different culture. How might they respond to those kinds of things? On that note, have a great day.